Hello, friends and believers. Welcome to Out of Memory.
Excelsior.
I am your host, Excelsior. I'm your host, Christopher Hampson, and joining me today is Andrew Hamilton.
Whoa. AJ Andrew Hamilton. That's me.
Oops, sorry. Did I fuck that up?
Whatever.
I can change it? Oh, okay.
I'm happy.
Well, that's his superhero
That's my
name.
secret identity.
Shit. Well, we spoiled it on the show.
Perfect.
Oh, crap. So, AJ, as you know, I took a dump right before this podcast, so I'm no longer full of shit.
I don't know about that.
I'll probably cut that out, but I just want to break the ice.
I love it.
Yeah. AJ, how you been, man?
I've been good. Yeah, just hanging around, you know?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you getting into the swing of spring?
Indeed I am. Have you been spinning webs?
I've been surfing the web.
Yeah, you're surfing the web. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah, and whenever I walk by the ladies' bathroom, I try to spy on her. No, that's not. No,
It's inappropriate.
It is. I would argue that spiders are inappropriate and creepy.
I don't like them. I don't care for them, especially tarantulas.
How do you react to a spider?
Depends on the size.
Okay, does it depend on the color?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, that's racist. No, I do find the white ones to be more creepy than like the solid color ones.
That's fair. They do seem like something out of a nightmare.
To me, it always reminds me of like face huggers in Alien.
Oh yeah,
so I don't like them because they're kind of like transparent. I don't know. Anyway,
no, I get that. Yeah, they're like ghost spiders.
Well, what about daddy long legs? They're pretty big.
Yeah, but they can't bite you. They're not that dangerous.
Have you ever tried to let one bite you?
Yeah, they have too tiny. Their fangs are too tiny. Didn't you know that?
I've heard that, but I don't know. I still have never touched one with my hand. Just like, I'll just pick this up.
Hey, but do you know that over your lifespan, you'll probably eat about 8 spiders?
I thought that was an annual stat.
Oh, it might be for yearly?
You know what?
Really?
That's going in research.
Yep. We're going to look that up for y'all, and we'll enter your nightmares.
Yep. That's true. Sometimes I try to get it out of the way, and like the first of the year, I just lay on the ground with my mouth open.
I don't know if that's how it works, but the universe is a funny thing.
I like to own my life. I don't like things happening to me when I'm out of control.
Then never go to the dentist.
All right, so you kill them. You don't like try to put them outside?
No, if I can, yes, I will try to put them outside. But I mean, if you saw one with one of the red hourglasses on the back, would you try to take that out?
I'd at least ask him what time it was. You know what? I think universally, anybody who realizes that there's a spider in the room only when it's on themselves, I think pretty much reacts the same way, which
just
is kind of like flailing your arms and like slapping at yourself.
Yeah, you know, I know that they do good for the world, but I'd rather they not hang out here. Spin a web outside, not inside, please.
Yeah, I mean, the only time that I've like cheered on a spider in my house is when I've noticed that they've been like killing a lot of ants.
Okay.
There's an ant on my fucking wall right now. I'm gonna kill this goddamn ant real quick. So, spiders, if spiders, to me, it depends on the position that they're in my house. If they're in a corner, I'll just kill them.
That's fair.
If it's a place that I can get them fairly easily, like a flat ceiling or a wall, I will put them outside.
That's nice. That's
ants,
decent
I will
of you.
kill every single time.
Oh yeah,
They're
worthless. Absolutely. Yeah. I once saw 2 spiders fighting on my ceiling. It was kind of like somebody should have been betting on them. It was pretty cool.
I once saw 2 seagulls fight over a bag of Cheetos.
Was that in your dream?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, but that's
also,
pretty cool.
If Tobey Maguire is on my wall, I try to kill him too.
Chris, why are we talking about
we
spiders
are talking
so much
about really gross things today? That's why we started with spiders. But specifically, we are talking about the 2002 Spider-Man movies, the trilogy.
Yes,
the Tobey Maguire trilogy,
the only trilogy so far.
Maguider-man.
Oh, do we have to call it that?
No, we don't. In fact, we'll try to say his name as little as possible.
That's probably best.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can. We're letting our opinion show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A little bit of bias even before the revisit round or the research phase. Well, let's back up. Let's
sure.
not start things off sour.
Okay.
Let's talk about Spider-Man as a whole,
Okay.
but not too much because really, I think that we could talk all day about him.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your first impression of Spider-Man or your first interaction with him?
I used to collect comic books so much. I mean, I still do, but I now collect the trade paperbacks. I used to get one every week, whenever they came out, or every month, and I would get the Untold Tales of Spider-Man.
Interesting.
Yeah, and those
What
were
kind of tales did he not tell?
It's a secret. You can't know. No, this was when he was kind of, I think it was an 80s and 90s series that was a lot about him growing up as a kid and just alternate stories. Also, you and I definitely grew up on the animated series.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
voice and that personality was definitely what I took to the printed word. When I was thinking about it in my mind, I would be like, no, that's the animated voice in my head.
Totally. And did you play in your head that rockin' ass theme song to the animated series when you open up the comic? Radioactive spider blood.
That was a great series.
That series was pretty good. I love how overly dramatic Peter Parker's thoughts are when he's like self-narrating. He's like, the Hobgoblin?
But he did have a good sort of snarky attitude when he was Spider-Man. I really liked that about him.
Yeah. I think they captured him fairly well.
He was
in the animated series.
he was a bit dramatic, but yes. Yeah, he had some good joke lines. How about you? When did you first be exposed to Spider-Man?
I was fairly young. I don't even know how old I actually was. But I had a beta cassette copy of, I think it was the 1977 Spider-Man movie.
Oh, God.
Which was not very good. And I haven't seen it since. But I specifically remember like watching a scene where Peter Parker is like trying out his web shooter. And he's like swinging around on something. I think shirtless, which was kind of weird, like in like a backyard or something like that. And as a kid, I would always try to do that with like laundry clotheslines and stuff in the backyard.
Nice.
But it must have made an impression because this was long before the animated series. And I remember that in England, we had something called bath crayons where you could draw on yourself. Yeah, you could draw something on your skin. And so like I had my mom draw like the Spider-Man suit like on my torso.
Whoa.
And, like, I don't know why you have to be in the bath, you have to be wet or something like that. But this product has been like relaunched and recalled so many times because it's really shitty for your skin apparently. And I had a horrible allergic reaction to this thing.
Well, you know the gold.
And I gained no powers from it, none at all.
Oh, that is a shame. You should at least have had radioactive crayon powers.
Yeah.
Draw on any surface.
You can make candles.
You can melt them and make them into wax pictures.
Make cars smell disgusting on hot days.
Just melting would be fun. I'm surprised there hasn't been like a melting. I mean, the sort of Clayface type of bad guy.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you can like unmelt.
Yeah. You solidify after it gets colder.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Gotta wait for nightfall.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just in the backpack though. You're
Yeah.
always stuck there. That bath crayons sound fantastic. Did you ever, other than that, did you ever dress up as Spider-Man?
No, like I don't think I've ever been Spider-Man for Halloween.
Yeah. Well,
I've always regarded Spider-Man as like a good character though. But I think like now I have been a bigger Spider-Man fan more than ever.
Is there any reason for that?
There's tons of reasons for it, but the most prominent two I think have to be the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game that came out,
beautiful,
which I helped market.
Oh heck yeah!
And
Humble brag.
The Spider-Man movie Into the Spider-Verse, coincidentally also produced by my company, but it's so freaking good. I mean, it won an Academy Award.
So you're not biased at all. But I loved it too. I agree.
No, because honestly, like I've seen the Venom movie, which was also produced by Sony,
Yeah.
and that is hot garbage.
It really is. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's the worst interpretation of any Spider-Man Universal piece
Yeah.
that I've seen.
Well,
Like,
it's just a badly structured movie
in
overall.
fact, that's how I'm going to score the Tobey Maguire trilogy.
How many Venoms?
Yeah, how many Venoms do you give this?
How many symbiote suits?
And you know what? And the third one has Venom in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, well, and I just out of my memory, I feel like that was a better Venom than the Tom Hardy one. God damn, I watched it on a flight. So
Yeah.
You've seen it too, right?
I have. Yeah, I saw it in theaters, and it was poorly directed. The bad guy is just another carbon copy of the good guy's powers, and such
no one
a
is likable.
flat bad guy. No, nobody's
one's
likable. The end of the movie feels like the beginning of the second act, or what should be the second act. It's a poor buddy cop movie. It's a poor superhero movie. It feels like something from the Spawn era, doesn't it? Little bit.
Yeah, you mean like the early Spawn, like
cut. Yeah.
the one with like John
Leguizamo, Michael Jai White. Yeah, exactly. And Martin Sheen. Woo!
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in that. Oh,
the producer.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoever put that piece of shit out. Anyway, like it's just weird that Sony produces their IPs in such different ways. That Venom was such a turd.
Yeah, rolling down the street in the wind.
Yeah. I've seen Spider-Verse 3 times now.
Same.
And I own it. And even the third time, like I liked it just as much as when I saw it in the theater. And like I changed my like original like self-scoring of like 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 because like it really is that great.
Well, it's masterful
it's a shame that
writing.
We're not doing that for this episode. But
what are we doing? We are doing
we're doing
that trilogy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if we're actually going to score this just out of 10 or if we're just going to kind of rank it amongst the other Spider-Man movies.
Which is tough, but we'll talk about all of those when we come back in the research phase, obviously.
Yeah.
Because, there's one coming out, there's Homecoming, there's the amazing, Far From Home, but Homecoming came out last year.
Home Alone, Spider-Man Home Alone.
That's right. And then the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about our experiences with the Maguider-verse.
Ugh. Yeah, I hate that already.
You brought that up.
That out. I know it was my fault. But you played the PlayStation game, right? The Spider-Man that just came out.
Oh yeah, no, I beat it.
Did you finish it?
I finished it, except for the downloadable content.
Yeah.
What'd
you think?
It's beautiful. It's amazing. I think there's a little bit of a lacking of control in the boss fights. I wish they weren't those,
because it's more like action mashing.
That's right. Yeah, action mashing and stuff like that, and hitting the button at the right time. But in the gang fights, you feel absolutely that you have every power available to you, and you can set up traps and fight them in all of these different creative ways. So those parts I'll replay over and over and over again. I love that.
Yeah, no, the game is great.
It's very cool.
I actually haven't finished it yet. I've played a good chunk of it, and I love Spider Cop in it.
Oh yes.
In early meetings that we had at Sony just for marketing it, we had Bill Roseman, who at the time was the executive creative director at Marvel.
Oh wow.
Come and talk to us about not only the game and just like how they were kind of thinking of like how it could be approached, but also about like what Spider-Man meant to him. And he showed up and he pulled out a book from his back pocket, like just a little, I don't know, like a 6x4 book. Pages were like yellowed. You could tell it was like very old. And he said, like, this is the first introduction of Spider-Man that I had in my life. And he's like, and I found it at the back of a library. I bought it and absolutely fell in love with this character. And he went on to describe not only why Peter Parker and Spider-Man was important to him, but also like why kind of like we should invest in it and really market the Spider-Man game in the way that we went about it. But he talked about how Spider-Man really broke a lot of the rules, where at that time, heroes were kind of like Superman, where they would just fly in and save the day. They were like perfect. And here you have Peter Parker, who is a loser. He's an underdog. His alter ego is pretty much hated by most of the city, or there's kind of like turmoil of like there's love and hate, but there was a lot of drama, and they really introduced that, kind of like how they had drama comics like Archie or like Jughead or something like that. They threw that into the mix, so they introduced so many more dimensions to the protagonist that you're reading about, where there's a love life, there's struggle. You could see that he's not liked as his regular identity, his super identity. So it was really cool, like having that introduction.
Well, that's what always appealed to me was that I know in the cartoon he was an adult kind of. He was college adult age, but in the comic books, it was really the only child that was thrust into the superhero role that I had ever experienced. And so
he's
it was
definitely
almost
younger of like the superheroes that we are most familiar with.
Yeah, and
besides the ones that are crap, like Jubilee. Garbage.
Get her out of here. What do you spray fireworks? That is useful to no one.
Yeah. I was just really taken aback by Bill's passion for Spider-Man, and he really wanted the game to be the chance for anybody to be able to put on the mask. And I love that Marvel has kind of owned that as of late, at least as far as Spider-Man, not Venom, certainly.
No.
But like Into the Spider-Verse, I think definitely kind of brings that home, as well as the newest Spider-Man, like in Civil War.
Tom Holland, yes.
Yeah, he does a great job. And it really makes it feel like he's a very grounded character, and you can relate to him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it's a great thing to be able to latch on to a character young. You know, as a young person, seeing a young person do these superhero things. Now just don't try to swing on anything out your window.
God, I really want to, though.
I know, but stop.
I
know you have a second floor, but you just might hurt yourself, man. I'm just saying. Also, don't try to get bitten by spiders. Please don't.
Oh, I let all spiders bite me. I let crocodiles bite me.
Just in case. Well, what do you...
I let athletes bite me. I feel like there's a better I let something bite me.
Wolves.
Like something that you want to be more like.
Oh, God.
I let birds bite me.
I let Teslas bite me.
I let robots bite me.
Yeah, I let Tom Holland bite me.
So he could be a better actor.
Exactly. I'd let the zombie Mel Blanc bite me. That's what I'd do.
Yeah. Has he been a zombie in something?
Well, he's dead.
Oh, I know. Okay. All right, let's rein it in.
Sure.
So this is the greatest time to be a Spider-Man fan, I feel.
Agreed.
It wasn't in the year 2002.
That's fair.
I mean, it kind of was because honestly, and this is now going back to just our memories of like what we remember about these movies.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 1, I felt like was good when I saw it. Like I liked what went down. I liked the portrayal of Spider-Man in the suit. I wasn't completely sold on the Peter Parker aspect of it.
Agreed.
But the confrontation between Green Goblin and Spider-Man felt somewhat realistic. And I liked how it kind of resolved.
Yeah, no, it was...
That he kind of killed himself, and that goes along with Spider-Man's MO of like he doesn't kill.
He doesn't try to, at least.
Yeah.
He might let people die, but I mean that's the Batman thing too. I mean, here's the thing. This was kind of the second big foray in the 2000s of these big budget Marvel movies. This was just a couple of years after X-Men, right?
Yes.
And
the first one, right? I don't think
one.
even the second one had come out yet.
No, I don't think so. But the first one, and Blade to a lesser extent, because that wasn't really full of special effects and CGI and stuff like that. So this one, like, took people aback. They'd never seen anything. Now we've got 22 and 23 MCU movies. We've got a shitload of the DC EU or whatever the hell that is, and this was something new. We'd never seen Spider-Man as a human being, as a CGI human being swinging across New York, and that was exhilarating to me. But I remember not super caring for the design of Green Goblin. Because it
was a bit hokey and totally like felt like a Halloween costume.
Not even a Halloween costume. It felt like a Power Rangers bad guy, didn't it?
Only in the way that his costume had a mouth, but it didn't move. So there was a lot of like gesturing. So yeah, no, I could totally see that.
Just overreact. I just loved the way that in the cartoon that the mask went over and it was skin tight. So
yeah. It looked like it was an actual goblin.
Exactly.
or Into the Spider-Verse, where he was a giant goblin.
Oh, good
Love it.
Lord. That was it's such a weird turn, but I loved it. All
Yeah.
of the different evolutions of his bad guys were pretty fun.
Yeah,
like
and
Scorpion
I love that
too.
it was very well hinted that the bad guys are very different in other universes. Like Gwen Stacy, when she's getting sucked into the portal, you can see Doc Ock's like regular robot arms,
Yep.
like clinking off the walls and stuff after her.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And anyway, yeah, I know we're not talking about that. But God,
Moratorium.
God, I love it.
It's very
Semi-moratorium.
good. Yeah, that's fair. Because in the Spider-Verse, I'm going to break the moratorium, they do an homage to at least the third movie
They
where
do.
he's doing the dance of Emo Parker.
Let's skip even talking about the second movie, which I think most people like.
I think
but
it's the better
felt
one
was
because
so-so.
Alfred Molina and him's fighting a guy that he can fight on the side of a building rather than a flying dude is so much more tactile, and he and Alfred Molina fighting on the side of the building is such a cool thing.
So yeah, there was cool things about it. Like I like where he's like throwing like heavy bags of money.
Yep. Fighting on the
and,
train.
And I mean the train. Okay,
I don't like
But
the
I
final
still found
part
it
of
very
the train,
hokey
but
that
yeah.
he would talk to his arms,
was
and
a little
that
weird.
he created a mini sun. And it was sucking in cars from like 5 miles away, but it wasn't
But not
pulling
them.
like Mary Jane like clear of her chains.
Agreed. No, there were flaws, definitely, but I would say the stronger of the three, wouldn't you? If nothing else, but for the group of actors in it.
I will say that I will recognize that 2 is probably the stronger of the 3, although I liked the first one better, at least in memory.
Okay.
But in that third one, oh God, the third.
What a mess.
I'm looking forward to seeing the third one because I feel like that is the Phantom Menace of this trilogy and probably of any Spider-Man movie made.
Well, it's definitely
so much so that, like you said, they hang a lampshade on it into the Spider-Verse because they just want to get all the shit out of the way first.
we don't talk about that anymore.
Ah, man. God, I love that movie.
It's great, man. Jake Johnson.
I know he's the best Spider-Man.
Now,
Chris Pine, fine, but
yeah, but he's a little bit more.
he's a little too Cyclops.
Yeah, the rough around the edges Spider-Man is great.
Yeah, he got some warping coming through the dimensional. Whatever.
Oh man, but it's
God,
actually
he wears sweatpants.
we're supposed to believe that Jake Johnson is kind of the Earth 616, like the prime Peter Parker, I think.
Really?
Yeah, we're supposed to, because his middle name is B for Ben, Peter Benjamin Parker, and the other one had I don't remember what his was.
He had no middle name.
No.
Also, there was no God in that reality.
Oh my God, and no Dippin' Dots. That's what I heard.
Just
What a tragedy.
Spider eggs, frozen spider eggs. We got to get back to the Maguires.
So, but the third one is so difficult and disappointing because they tried to take on way too much, and it's always happened in most of the movies where they try to shove in more than 2 bad guys, right?
Now, like you just triggered me remembering something. I want to enter into our research phase docket. I want to know which movie he cries in more.
All of them.
So we will count how many times he cries.
Spider House Rules. Get it? Because he was in Cider House Rules, and
I don't
that's
even know what that is.
Tobey
Is that a
Maguire
movie?
was in
Oh.
Cider House.
Oh,
Rules.
you mean Secretariat?
Did he play the horse?
He played the horse's jockey.
No, he played the horse.
He was genuine.
Spider horse, doing whatever a spider horse does.
Hey,
What?
because it's a horse.
Nice. We gotta talk about, I mean, from memory, the best character in all 3 of these movies.
Oh, okay. I think that we both know who that is.
Yeah, that's J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson.
J-
J.
And J.K. Simmons, if nobody else,
Wait, what?
he is made for that role, dude.
I'm sorry, J.K. Simmons?
That's J.K. Simmons.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of J.K. Rowling. My mind was about to be completely
Yeah,
blown. I was like, holy shit.
He's a she, and she wrote all of the Harry Potter movies and was in the Spider-Man movies.
He did a good job.
So the star of Whiplash and Juno and all those other ones, and he's now, or maybe not anymore, but he was Commissioner Gordon in Justice League. Sadly.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I know. I like J.K. Simmons a lot.
I love him.
He was a voice actor in Korra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also
in the Airbender series.
He also plays J. Jonah Jameson in some of the episodes of Simpsons, or
really?
a character similar to J. Jonah Jameson. He is made for that role. I love him. God damn.
He really is. Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's got the salt and pepper going. He can grow that mustache. I don't know if it's fake or not. In fact, we'll find out if that mustache is fake.
Good research on that one as well. I think he is typically bald, and he's also in a TV series called Counterpart, and it's brilliant. It's about twins from other dimensions. It's crazy. Check it out. But but regardless.
Also, he's in Allstate commercials. Do we get plugs?
We
like
are
money
farmer.
Every time that we
is it Allstate or Farmers? I don't know.
Oh, it is Farmers. Shit.
Anyway, do you remember when you saw these movies? Did you see them?
I definitely saw the first one in the theater, and I think saw pieces of it afterwards. I only think I saw the first and the second and the third one once, and I think all of them were in the theater, actually.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure we may have seen the first one together.
We might have, yeah,
because I would go to the midnight showings of those big movies, back in the day when there wasn't like a 7:00 Thursday showing, and we would stand in line in front of Chabot Cinema and just fall asleep halfway.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, we would drink a fair amount.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like Endgame is selling out, and I don't know if I even care enough to like see it in the first 2 weeks. Like, I really don't even want that hassle. I will take a day off.
That's
fair. A couple weeks in and see it.
That's fair.
I give a shit.
I really want to see it because I've seen most of these the night before, but I don't have a perfect track record.
I'm ready to see Tom
Holland
come back to life. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He definitely won't.
Spoiler alert. I'm fair. Like, come on. Like, he's gonna come back.
Of course, he's got a movie coming out a month later. For God. All right.
Okay.
So do we
to web this all together?
Yes, of course. And there's the second Green Goblin in the third one. There's Sandman and Venom.
I fucking forgot all about Sandman because
because he
such
doesn't
a
matter.
Forgettable villain.
He's a henchman.
It feels like
else.
all of the villains have no stake in being there except all of them have no stake. All I remember is that the third one was trash because no villain really should have been fighting Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because even what the fuck is his name? John Franco. James Franco. Even his character was like some mysterious butler that had never been showcased before in any of the two movies. Was like, I didn't want to say anything, but I was there that night. Like, where the fuck did you come from?
And why didn't you say anything else?
Movie. Yeah.
Also, I have seen the outtakes of that, and I'm not hating on that guy, but he has a very bad performance, and he's a very old actor and cannot remember his lines.
That's
like
honest.
There are so many takes of him fucking up those lines.
I do want to see those outtakes.
Yeah, no, I think I bought the Blu-rays years and years ago, and I checked out the extras.
Why would you buy Blu-rays of such a bad movie?
There was a large super pack of like those movies and the Amazing Spider-Man movies. It was like a 5-pack or something like that, or 6-pack. There's also, I want to look into this. There is what is it called? A 3.1 edit of the third movie. And if I have time, I will look into the differences because they have said that there is a better version of that movie.
I'm putting that on the docket.
Yeah.
3.1.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's check it out.
I feel like we have a fair amount of things to check out here.
Yeah, let's jump into it. What do you think? Or web into it. swing into it.
Yeah, swing into it. All right, so yeah, we have a fair list here. Spider's eaten in a year for sure. We'll take out fan reactions, Easter eggs. We'll do a quick run through of earlier movies like the 1977 one, and I think there was a lot of aborted ones, and I think there's a fair amount of Japanese ones where Spider-Man has a giant robot that he goes into, much like Power Rangers,
just like Penny Parker.
Man. Yes, pretty much like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have our work cut out for us.
Indeed.
We're gonna go away. We're gonna do this. I do want to ask real quick, what because you've seen the Amazing Spider-Mans. I didn't even like bother to watch them. It just didn't work out with my life at the time when they came out. Are they good or not? Just a yay or nay. That's a nay.
They are a slog. They are a slog. But I do like both Andrew Garfield and Emma Watson. No, not Emma Watson or Emma Thompson. Emma Stone.
Emma Stone,
Jesus Christ.
She looks like a good Gwen Stacy.
She's a great Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, I've only seen the previews, and I saw an interview with Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield. He's great.
Yeah, I could see him. He looks like a good Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he's got a good sense of humor.
In my mind, he is synonymous with the dude from Parks and Rec who is the worst.
Oh my God, Ben Schwartz?
Yeah, that guy.
Absolutely, like a young Ben Schwartz.
I want to see that version of Spider-Man, actually.
He should be in Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Yeah, he should.
Oh my God. The worst Spider-Man. Yeah, no, I think that would be amazing. Yep.
Spider-Man. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Onward and upward.
Swing into action, and we'll be right back. Thwip. Thwip. Is it thwip or fwip?
I always saw THWIP. Thwip.
Right, well, thwip. It's thwip.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Out of memory. Well, we are back, and my head is spinning. Webs. No.
No, it's good.
All right, we swing back into it.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry, no, this is the intro.
Oh, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's crawl back in here.
While crawling back into this episode, good God.
Welcome, ladies and mandibles.
Or mendibles.
Mandibles.
This is we're back with our Spider-Man episode.
It's true.
Did we watched? Well, I watched all three.
Oh, did you?
Oh my God!
Oh, aren't you just a fucking suck up?
No.
I watched number 1 and I watched number 3 because as we had strategized, if we didn't have enough time to do everything, then I was just gonna cut that one out. But I do kind of wish that I had seen the second one. But maybe let's tear into the first one real quick before we go into that.
Go for it.
So overall impressions. Let's just cut this down real quick.
Oh man,
let's break it down.
I'm sad that I watched this again.
Are you?
Yeah,
I'm sad because I liked it when I had seen it the first time, and
Same.
now the glass is completely shattered, or whatever the saying is.
The rose-colored glasses are gone.
Yes,
they're shit-colored glasses.
That's what the glass was that shattered. I like that there's some things I still like about it. They have Tobey Maguire narrate the opening of the movie, which is strange.
Yeah.
But he says that this actually isn't a story about him. It's a story about a girl. Mm-hmm. And you know what? For the most part, it is. Except I think it's more about a story about boobs. Because they highlight boobs throughout this trilogy quite a lot.
It's definitely seen through the man's gaze. Definitely.
Yes, of course. So to set the scene, Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, just seeing them actually on a bus, like going to high school, is really weird because all of them are definitely late 20s, early 30s, or older.
No, they're all like mid-20s. I looked it up, mid-20s. Even Mary Jane is like 20, I think, maybe when they shot this. But they all look so old.
So old.
Oh my God, it's like 90210,
it's bizarre.
Man.
Because the movie spans over, I think, like a couple of years, right? Because
Seems like it.
they're in high school, they graduate high school,
And they're in
and then
college.
they're dealing with their lives. Yeah,
But-
they're like in college and whatnot.
But for the rest of the series, he's still in college. And I don't know if he's going for like a master's degree or something, but he's still there
They slow
in the third.
way down after they run
Right.
through. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Peter Parker always stares at Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane in such a weird way. He's such a weird man that everybody shits on. And honestly, to me, that's what these movies felt like. It felt like stories of convenient plot placements and just people taking turns shitting on one another. And for the most part, they do a pretty good job of making Peter Parker like an extreme dork that like even the bus driver laughs at.
Yeah, this is like a tragedy. This is a
It is a tragedy.
it's not this fun romp that I remember it being. It's really sort of depressing.
Yeah,
It really is.
Even to the end of at the ending of the movie, the hero does not get the girl. He walks away from her to protect her, and I like that a lot. I like it. So the best friend hates Spider-Man because he thinks that he killed his father. The girl who like takes turns loving everybody finally loves him, but he can't do anything about it because he's Spider-Man. So I like that a lot.
Right.
But all those things that lead up to that are all awkward.
Oh my God.
Everything is so awkward.
And can I say that this casting of Peter Parker just feels so wrong. He's such a pathetic dude, man.
He's not snarky at all.
No, like he reminds me, I think I texted this to you. He's like Droopy Dog mixed with Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. I mean, he is that depressing and sad. His whole life is just he can't like see the bright side of life, or he can never like say, oh, actually, but still I'm snarky or whatever. Yeah.
And I feel like the second movie emphasized that even more. And again, why I'm a little upset that I didn't get a chance to see it. But
yeah.
I'm pretty sure like it shows him having the worst life possible.
Yeah.
He lives in New York.
Just gets worse and worse, man.
It feels disgusting. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels voyeuristic, and the Schadenfreude is unbearable. Really,
what is that? What is
Schadenfreude? The glee at someone's. It's a German word that means happiness at someone's failure.
Oh,
yeah.
This is an educational show.
The Germans are a dark.
That's actually a really good saying, because that is something that is like it really is actually hit a couple times through this movie. But let's tear into the major pieces of this just to get through 1 and 2, so we could talk about 3, which we know deserves a lot of discussion and reparations. Really, I think.
Jesus,
I think the public is owed something.
Absolutely.
So I think the biggest thing that I'm sure that like fans had a problem with was there was a lot, but Peter Parker has the webbing in his body. He has to touch his wrist to shoot webs instead of having a device that he creates
having
he's
built it. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And he has to use web cartridges, and it makes him, I don't know, it makes him a much more believable character, I think.
Yeah.
And also it kind of gives him some constraints, so he's not like Superman and just has like unlimited power. So it makes it more interesting. But the webbing coming out of his wrists is really fucking weird. Yeah. And I don't know why it doesn't come out of his ass like a spider.
That is, yeah. I mean, logically, that's how it would happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely happens that way.
The thing that I'm frustrated with, just like you're saying, is the fact that they don't focus on him being a scientist and super genius. It's like taking the detective factor out of Batman, which they kind of have. Yes. You know, he's just rich and he builds things. Rather than being a very good detective, like that's the basis of his character.
That's true.
Spider-Man should be. I mean, he has all of these crazy powers, but the addition to it is that he is a brilliant kid.
Yes, it's one of those things that kind of help to ground a hero, and I think like the original Peter Parker, that grounds him a lot too, where he doesn't have all these powers just given to him. He has to figure it out, just like the rest of us. So yeah, that is a little disappointing.
And I do like seeing, I mean, it's one of the first times that we've seen in film history a superhero learning his powers. Well, learning his powers, you know, I mean, being awkward with it and stuff. So that's kind of charming. Did you enjoy those scenes where he's like falling? No,
it made me appreciate Homecoming a lot more, where they just skip all of that shit. It's like
much better.
I mean, they're like Spider-Man's been a franchise for 70 years. Like,
Yeah, figure it out.
You know who he is. Like, have brief flashbacks or just like a mention of it. Like, we don't need to see it again. And I'm hoping that that's where movies are kind of going, or at least superhero movies, where they're like, yeah, we're just gonna skip all that shit.
Well, they come out so frequently that let's just jump into them having existed before. Let's forget the origin stories.
And I feel like you could say that for like 70% of all three of these movies. But even take Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, where these were heroes that hardly anybody knew, but they don't give like hardcore backstories to all of them. They give it to Quinn because like that's a major plot point and it adds to his character growth by the end of the movie. Yeah. But like Raccoon is just mentioned, Drax is just mentioned. Same with Gamora and
Groot.
Did they mention Groot's backstory?
No, not at all. No,
that's fine. He doesn't even talk.
He's a magical tree being. It's fine.
Yes.
Just accept it.
Oh God.
What about the bad guy in this?
I love Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn.
Me too.
I think as soon as he becomes the Green Goblin, all of that like goes to shit. I don't like him talking to himself. I don't like the Goblin costume at all.
Oh God, man.
The only part that I still thought was cool about the costume is I hate when you can see his human eyes through his goblin eyes,
or his mouth through his goblin mouth.
I kind of like that you can see his human mouth talking through the goblin mouth a little bit, but still like.
Well, do you know why do you know why
Ranger gesturing?
Do you know what? Yes, exactly. Do you know why they made his eyes so clear? Is that Willem Dafoe did about 90% of his own stunts, so he had to be able to see.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
But he also he can bring those yellow eyes up like it's a window. Like he has it in the last scene. Yeah, he opens it up.
And the
fighting is so awkward though.
It devolves into just punching and kicking, and that's really disappointing.
The Macy's Day Parade or whatever the fuck it was.
I don't know.
He slams himself and his glider into Spider-Man and into a wall, and then they take turns like hugging each other and like who's on top. Like they roll against the wall a couple of times. It felt very Power Rangers, except there was like less fireworks going off.
And no one grows.
What did you think of Mary Jane?
I'm not a fan of hers. I mean, I think one of the I actually think that James Conway? No, what's his name? James Franco is actually a really good casting for Harry, but
they make him play so dry though.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I don't like the direction at all, but I think our two leads are the weakest part of this entire franchise, man. Like she's charming. She's more charming than Tobey Maguire, but she has nothing to play off. That's what the problem is.
She has nothing to play off. I actually found through watching the first movie that I had more of appreciation for Kirsten Dunst, where I felt like she was giving all of the acting throughout this movie. But I think direction and story definitely got in the way. And I hate that they use her as such a device for damsel in distress. Like there's so much of
every
her
single movie.
In every single movie.
Oh, it's awful.
The thing I found weird, and like obviously I knew that it was in it, but like the wet t-shirt scene, like when she kisses Spider-Man, like it's just such a weird choice to have such a see-through tank top and bra.
Well, they do that in the second one.
I know.
When she's tied up with Doc Ock, she's all wet, and I'm pretty sure she didn't even have a bra on in that one.
I tried to look at some kind of interview that brought some explanation between like what is behind like having like the nipples in this like so clearly through a shirt in a kid's movie, because like the rest of it like gets like a super early 2000s movie treatment where it's like this is a happy movie,
cartoony and all that
for kids. But like that it's so blatant. I'm still kind of taken aback. The only thing that I did see on that was interviews with Kirsten Dunst, where I think that they called her out for the third movie of her not like having such like nipple treatment. And she said something along the lines of she didn't appreciate like the ice treatment or something. So I think she was icing her nipples at one point just to make a pointer. I don't know.
Oh my God. Man, you talked about it being a children's movie, and all three of these seem to be children's movies, but it takes so long in between to do this maudlin, like depressing stuff in between. It feels like it's almost made for no one.
There's a lot of fucking around and just filling screen time
and people being depressed and sad.
So sad. Yeah. Yeah, it is a tragedy. This first one definitely, let's label this as a tragedy.
Agreed. Yeah.
Anything further on the first movie?
Well, there was one thing that Hugh Jackman almost had a cameo as Wolverine, so that's fun. But they couldn't find. But they couldn't find the costume.
But they couldn't find the costume.
They couldn't find the costume. Apparently, it was
put away?
stored somewhere in the Fox lot.
Where's my costume?
Where's my super suit? But yeah, no, I just also the Goblin and his whole golem back and forth is so frustrating. But here's the thing: his face is perfect for a goblin. If they had
just been,
if they had his face like greenish from the gas or something like that, they
so like he had to wear makeup to look human, kind of like the Joker.
Ooh, maybe. Actually, they did that in Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they just made him have this horrible face, and it looks even worse. But I'm gonna say it's Dane DeHaan, and
Goldie
it's not
Hawn's son.
It's not the amazing face of Willem Dafoe, who is a real life goblin. Yes. So it's a shame. Yep.
All right.
Should we jump into 2?
Let's go into 2, and I'll let you take the lead. And I can only speak from memory on this.
Of course. Well, first of all, there's so much goddamn talking in this. Okay, so there are maybe 2 moments of Spider-Maning in the first hour of it, and one of them's like to save a kid, and another one is to take the pizza across town.
Oh my god.
And that's all. And then they finally, at an hour in, they finally get to the Octavius experiment, and then he sort of fights him, but not really.
Yeah.
And then there's that weird scene in the operating room. Well, that happens after the operating room, which is so Sam Raimi. We didn't even mention that it's directed by Sam Raimi, the guy who directed Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. And so it's got so much of that horror in it that really doesn't play through the rest of the movie. And also, that's the weird part, is this thing has so many different weird tones. It has classic superhero.
Seen it. It's like it was written by different people.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, and these really depressing talking scenes between almost everybody has a conversation with each other. Like, I mean,
they live in the same world. Let's be real.
No. Yeah. But they all have these conversations, these really long conversations that are so sad and just angering
weird.
To me.
So sad and weird. I would say the whole experience
a lot of
them of Peter Parker getting the apartment, like with the weird landlord and even weirder Ursula.
Oh my god!
Daughter.
Do you know?
It's so weird.
Funny story. Ditkovich, Mr. Ditkovich is his name. His landlord.
Great.
And
it's a great name. Very respectable.
Well, I think it was based on Steve Ditko, who was one of the creators of Spider-Man.
Wonderful.
So, yay for that.
Yay, slap in the face. I can only imagine it's a slap in the face character.
So this is the frustrating part of this movie. Like, half the movie, he doesn't have his powers. Because he, Octavius says something like, "Don't keep love bottled up, it'll make you sick." And I'm pretty sure that they are saying that love sickness is creating his loss of powers. And really, they keep going over and over again.
God, I forgot about his erectile dysfunction.
He has this conversation with a doctor in a doctor's office for like 5 minutes about how you can't walk the middle of the line. You got to make a decision, blah, 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 shit like that. And there are 3 or 4 moments of him watching, when he decides not to be Spider-Man anymore, him watching cops go by or watching a guy get mugged. And I'm just like, this is not what you come to see in a movie.
Where is Spider-Man? I remember thinking that when I saw the second one, it was like, wow, why is it's a Peter Parker movie? Because he has a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what all of these movies are, is there's so little Spider-Man and so much crying Spider
much crying, so much talk about love and loving you, and also heavy
and responsibility.
Of God in this in all 3 of these movies.
Oh yeah, well, when he's holding onto the train, he's clearly being crucified, and then they lift him up and he's floating on all of their hands and everything. And it's like a soap opera. When it's not a
It's not.
superhero
Soap
thing.
operas are good, or they're really bad, and this is like so in the middle that
Somewhere,
it's just,
yeah.
it makes it even worse.
And so there's
And he's so shitty at keeping his identity secret.
oh my God, so
through
bad.
all of these movies.
Yeah.
In the first one, he shows his face to the wrestling guy, the wrestling manager. He shows his face
couple
to
of
the
people.
guy that he pretty much kills, that he thought killed his uncle.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, when he's wrestling, the best part of that movie, Bruce Campbell's the announcer.
Oh my
and
God.
the guy he wrestles is Randy Savage, the Macho Man.
Exactly. Or Bonesaw.
Brother.
Well, Bruce Campbell is in all three of these
Yes,
movies. I mean,
as
you,
different characters,
you know
right?
that. But he was also going to come back, as we'll get to this later, but he was going to come back as one of the bad guys.
That's
which is kind of cool.
As which bad guy?
Mysterio.
That's weird. That's weird.
It's actually perfect. I would have loved to see
actually
that.
Genius.
Yeah. For this movie, there's two main action sequences, and all of the talking of the wrestling, the internal wrestling that everyone does in this is just boring to
This
me.
movie, these movies do a good job of making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And just
Yes.
wanting scenes to be over.
I don't remember. Is it this one? Is it this one or the third one where he admits to Aunt May? Because I watched these all in a row within 2 days.
Yeah.
Does he tell Aunt May that he was there and didn't stop Uncle Ben's killer?
I don't remember. I feel
Okay,
like
then-
what might have had opportunity in the third because they.
No, but
we'll
then,
get into that. But
then it was
I
definitely
don't
then it
think
was
that he
definitely
said it.
in two.
Really?
Then it was definitely in
Oh
two,
my
and it's
God.
so awkward because she pulls her hand away and then walks up the stairs and slams the door.
You're right. Okay, so
And
it's
then-
definitely two.
Like one more scene from there, she's like selling all of her things and moving into a smaller apartment, and he's like, "I'm sorry about that," and she was like, "No, don't worry about it. That took guts. It's great. We're fine now. No conflict."
We're great. I'm actually gonna kill myself.
Everything is manufactured conflict, and these little things where if you just said one thing rather than being stupid, like when I think it's in the third one where he says something like, "Harry, you need to come with me." He's like, "You killed my father." He's like, "This isn't about us." Rather than saying, "Listen, I didn't kill your father. He was trying to kill me, and he stabbed himself with his own glider."
No,
Sorry.
They have another plot device that they use in order to clarify everything.
Yeah,
but we'll
yeah,
get
much
into that.
easier.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
But yeah, that's even the final fight between him and Octavius is
It's weird.
pretty boring.
I
don't
always
know.
had a huge problem with him creating a mini sun that's sucking
I
in
know,
cars
right?
from half a city away, but it can't rip Mary
Yeah.
Jane through the chains that she's on or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I don't know. But
No, it's a
I,
sun at that point. It's about
No,
gravity
yeah.
and not necessarily magnetism.
No, you're absolutely right. I will say my one saving grace of this entire movie is I like the fight scenes. Even though they are 2003, 2004 graphics, I really like him fighting Octavius like on the side of buildings, like throwing
The
the
money
clock
bags.
or the money bags, but also
yeah.
the clock hand at him, like using it to swing it back at him. And there's some kind of cool physics when his powers are actually working when he's using his webbing and shit like that. But on the whole, looking back at it, it's sort of boring, sort of depressing.
It's amazing that well, actually, I guess
because you just want to get back to the
I'm
action.
surprised that superhero movies kept getting made after this, but I think there was a point where they all slowed down heavily.
Well, I mean, Iron Man didn't come out until the year after. Well, the year after
2010?
the third one. No, 2008.
Oh, 2008.
So I think I mean, there was also X-Men that was.
But those were okay.
Those were okay. The first and second one was amazing, if I
Second one was
remember
amazing.
correctly.
Yeah,
maybe
it was pretty
we should
good.
go back and watch those. That'll be our
Yeah.
next series.
Maybe we should. Maybe if you'll write in and tell us that we gotta do it, we'll gotta do it.
But this is weird because 1, 2, and let's just jump into 3 because it all feels like all of the overarching storylines.
It's all been building to this.
It's all been building to this, but with middling to disappointing results. And it's like you could have wrapped up some of these storylines in the first or maybe right at the beginning of the second, but it's continuing on for God's sake.
You know what it felt like to me? Like the first movie was a story about a girl. This was a story about convenience and confusion and jealousy, mostly on Mary Jane's part. But they do a very weird thing of they take the first hour of this movie and they not only set up 3 unnecessary villains, but they also, like you said, they try to build on the last movies, like keep those plot points going. Yeah. But then they immediately destroy all of them. They're like, remember how this is going on? So it is, but now it's over.
Yeah, well, and he's apparently beloved by the city now.
Yes.
Which has never been, it's always, I actually like it when he is a downtrodden, hated superhero.
I don't like when they do it, though. It's really depressing.
No, oh God, no. Oh God, no. No, but I actually, whenever all of the people in New York gather around him and start helping him out when he's trying
garbage at the Green Goblin.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of fun, but
no,
it's like
not. It's so bad.
Anyway, I mean, oh God, where's Aunt May in this? She is very.
Honestly, like, I'm so sick of Aunt May, but at this point, I'm glad that she was barely in it, for one thing.
I do like the actress, but they give her such heavy-handed dialogue.
Oh my God. Yeah,
good Lord.
It's
every scene, rather than just being like, let's push the plot along, every scene is just another lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
Another very heavy-handed lesson.
No, it's a self-contained scene that all of which I don't think belong in the movie nor necessarily add to anything.
Yeah, no, it's just to bring Peter down more. Good Lord.
Back to them destroying everything from the first movies.
Go ahead.
The biggest one is introducing Sandman. They're like, oh, the guy that killed Uncle Ben, he didn't kill him. It was actually this guy. Like, what the fuck? Like, that was all wrapped up. Like,
and how did you find
why does the
that
Sandman
out?
even need to be liked? Or why does he even need a backstory? Like, just have him be a guy. Like, he just shows up. They're like, what the fuck? This guy can control sand. That's all it needed to be.
You have enough story in this 2.5 hour movie that you could just make him be a henchman.
Yeah.
Just make him be a guy who's trying to do some things. I mean, everybody in this movie is somewhat weirdly redeemable, except for Eddie, I guess, or the symbiote. I don't know. But they force the redeemability. They force the redeemability so that it's like, oh no, you should like this person because they're really good guy at heart. Come on.
Yeah. So I actually I enjoyed watching this movie because I already knew that it was such a train wreck that I was already like pre-braced for this and I wasn't going to be let down. So I enjoyed how awful a lot of things were. And the 3 most awful things are the crowds. Any of the crowd shots, like they were obviously non-actor people. Yeah. Like the way that they would like cheer on Spider-Man or like have like really weirdly delivered lines. And same with the news coverage. The news coverage is fucking bizarre. Like when they're having their final fight, some British woman who is on the ground somehow can see what's happening like way up like towards the top of the building.
We're about 100 feet away.
And she's like, I don't think that Spider-Man can take anymore. Like comment it.
Yeah,
like,
thanks for the commentary.
The commentary.
What are you doing?
It's really bad. But the absolute biggest sin of this movie is Bernard. Or Bernard. It's Harry Osborn's butler that they like just completely shoehorn in to be a major like plot device, kind of. Yeah. Or at least a shifter. But I hate that they call him Bernard instead of Bernard. Both of them say Bernard.
I know. And you know
who is that guy? You said that he was...
So there are outtakes of him not being able to deliver those lines at all. And he's played by John Paxton. I couldn't find... I mean, he hasn't done much. He's very old man. He died in 2011 at 91, but he's actually not even credited as Bernard.
Oh no.
He's credited as Houseman.
As butler? Yes.
Houseman.
They call him Bernard.
Bernard.
He has a name.
I know.
My favorite scene
in all 3 of them. Yeah.
When that, just like you were saying, Peter comes to Harry Osborn at the end of the movie and says, we need to work together to save Mary Jane. And he's like, fuck off. Yeah. You killed my father. As soon as he leaves, Bernard comes out of nowhere. And he's like, by the way, I was there that night that you found your dad's dead body and I cleaned his wounds. before the police arrived, I guess. He's like,
well,
and those stab wounds were definitely made by his glider, and there's no doubt that he had a hand in his
because
own death.
I'm Alfred,
Yeah,
apparently.
well, yeah, between the weird fight scenes, the Danny Elfman music, and the awkward butler, it really felt like I was watching a Batman movie, a Schumacher Batman.
Do you want to know something weird? I watched the editor's cut, and they completely take out Bernard from that last scene.
No.
Yeah,
Is it because he, along with saying that he cleans his father's wounds, he says, he loved you, just like your friends love you, and just like I love you. And then like a full 20 seconds go by, and he doesn't even like hug him or touch him. He just like turns and walks out of the scene.
He's like, thanks for forcing that. Thanks for making that
James
awkward,
Franco
Bernard.
is like looking him in the eye and like crying and stuff, and he just like turns.
Well, you know what they replace it with? Peter comes and says, we got to team up.
And then cut.
And he turns, looks down at a shattered picture of him and Peter and MJ, which I don't know even why he still has that after the fight. And then it cuts. That's it. He's like, oh, that's right. I did have friends once, even though he killed my father and burned my...
shit.
Well, and Peter is kind of fucked up to him, too. Like, granted, Harry is starting it, but they're trying to kill each other, essentially.
Like, Harry, it's so weird because it starts out that Harry knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and knows that, well, he thinks that he killed his father. So he's like tracking him down and they're fighting and he's trying to kill him.
As the new goblin.
As the new goblin. And he hits his head and he loses memory and then they become best friends. But
See, soap opera.
After a drink of alcohol, he remembers everything that happened and puts into motion a plan to hurt Peter Parker. But the way he does that is right after having a kiss with Mary Jane, which probably would have led to more. He immediately shows up in the dark in her apartment and grabs her by the throat and holds her up and says, you need to do something for me, and makes her break up with Peter Parker.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so funny because he's not even near her when that happens. She could just whisper to Peter, Harry is holding me hostage. I'm going to pretend like I'm breaking up with you, but I really love you. Come rescue me.
Why doesn't Harry Osborn just poison Peter Parker's drink?
Or that.
Because like he trusts him now.
Yeah,
like,
they went to...
And then he could be free to pursue Mary Jane.
They went to coffee and he gives that weird smile of like, I'm the other guy.
He like Peter.
And then disappears like Batman.
Yeah, he does. It's funny because Peter's outside the restaurant then and he looks back. He's like, wait a minute, did he get his memory back? And Harry turns around and does like a really fucking crazy like laugh, look at like gotcha. And a bus drives by and then he's gone. But the guy who was in the background, like behind Harry, he was like, holy shit, like what the fuck was that? Like he moved really fast.
And also that line right before that happens where she's like, how's the pie, honey? And he's like,
it's so good.
So good. Oh my God. It puts the lotion in the basket.
There's a lot of like weird sexual under and overtones of this movie.
Well, and what the fuck is that scene with them making eggs?
Oh, when he's playing the super cutting edge music, the shout. Yeah,
well,
dude,
like,
that whole thing is really weird.
All three of these movies, like I said, back to back to back, are wasted. Like, I wasted 6.5 hours of my life watching these movies.
It's like the CW version of a superhero show where like it's all people talking and weird drama and the episodes are kind of disjointed. It's Arrow. It's basically Arrow.
Oh my God. This could have been like 6 or 7 episodes of Arrow. Absolutely. But
I'd rather watch Arrow.
And this, we haven't even talked about the damn symbiote. Where
that's because it doesn't belong there, and neither does Eddie Brock. Like you've already got too much shit going on. But that's probably the worst sin of this movie is that in the first 10 minutes, Peter Parker and Mary Jane are sitting in a web and like canoodling and looking at the stars. And like 20 feet away, a meteorite just strikes the earth, and then the symbiote comes out. Like,
of course,
it's not loud, it's not bright. It just kind of like hits the ground, and this thing crawls out and attaches to Peter's motorcycle, which Peter Parker then almost immediately after gets separated from his motorcycle because Harry Osborn flies in and like punches him off of it.
I want to punch him in the face. When he's on that little motorcycle, he looks like such a doofus.
He is a doofus. Do you like Peter Parker at all at any point of any of these movies?
Sadly, no.
No.
I'm happy when he's Spider-Man because clearly that's not Tobey Maguire.
It's not.
But do you know why that's why they gave him the part, is because they were like, nah, maybe not. He's a little shrimpy. And then he had like bulked up for it. He had Taylor Lautnered it out and he was like, I'm ready for this role.
Yeah, but isn't he only like 5 foot tall?
Yeah, he's very little.
Which is amazing because he has that dancing scene with Bryce Dallas Howard, who I believe is very tall, right?
That's what I think, yeah.
So
yeah,
they must have had to do a lot of
like
work to make them look like they were the same size.
Yeah, probably.
They did some Lord of the Rings trickery of the eye where like he's way in the foreground and she's in the background. They're not actually eye to eye.
Or it's a body double like in the first movie. Do you know that they did the same thing that they do in Captain America, where they had
when he's like super skinny and then super buff?
Yeah, that's another guy's like skinny torso at the beginning of the movie.
I hope that's the same body double pair that they got for Captain America. Like it's like those guys in every movie. They're like, oh, you need a skinny guy to a really buff guy? We got you covered.
Do you know, actually, in Captain America, I know we're not talking about it, but when they're in England, the bartender, me too, the bartender is actually the body double.
Oh yeah,
watch that next time. Yeah, that's
I'll
the
keep
that's
a close
the
eye on his body.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, do you know that what's his dude James Franco said that Tobey Maguire acted like a little frog, and which created horrible bad blood between the two of them, and apparently they never liked each other again on set.
There was real beef.
Yeah, there was. So those fights must have been real fun.
I wish in that fight when they are trying to kill each other and Peter throws the pumpkin bomb and blows up Harry's face, I wish that it had made half his face look like Willem Dafoe.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
So
yes, the fucking dancing, man.
And that leads into the dancing.
Listen, I actually think that the symbiote could have worked in this. I just think that it's such a spread out movie. I think it could have been a half hour shorter, and I think the symbiote could have attached itself much, much earlier to him not realize what it's doing to him, and also not be a fucking suit.
Yes, thank you.
Not a physical suit.
That's my biggest problem, because even Doc Connors is like, hey, don't let this get on you. But really, it's just a suit that he takes off and he can lock him in a box, and the suit lets him take it off. Which
then it doesn't relate to the way it's interacting with Harry or Topher.
Topher, that's it. Yeah.
Topher, which Brock. I believe, I think we were talking about it before, Topher Grace actually would have been a better Peter Parker.
I think so too. Yeah.
Or at least a better Spider-Man.
I think it would have been better at both.
Both, but it's always tough. It's just like with the Batman conundrum. Are they a better Bruce Wayne or a better Batman? You know, it ranges. But I don't know.
Do you think Christian Bale is good at both?
I think he's actually a better Bruce Wayne than a Batman, but he's still good at both.
It's just because after every line, he has his mouth open.
He's so tired. He's just gotta catch his breath.
I can't breathe through these nose holes.
But yeah, no,
the elastic is slicing into the skin behind my ears.
But no, you were talking about the symbiote. What else pisses you off about it?
Just that it shows up and then an hour of the movie goes by before it even reemerges. And it's not until Mary Jane breaks up with him that it goes after him when he's having his like weird Uncle Ben nightmares.
Yeah. And he constantly, whenever he has it on under his clothing, he touches his neck like, oh my God, I just realized that it's affecting me. Just blatant.
Yeah. Because they only show that like top little triangle peeking out all the time.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off because there's that scene where he's doing a weird walk down the street and like girls kind of notice him or they're disgusted by him and he's like pointing at him and he's doing weird slides and stuff. And then he goes into a place and buys a suit.
Yup.
But
that he has to put on over that suit.
Clothes. Like it just... Yeah. It could be your clothes. I remember that was something that was awesome in the animated series is that when Peter Parker attached himself to the symbiote and he was like starting to get drunk on the power, he would like blatantly stand on side of buildings and just like change the suit that he was wearing to look like a Mac Daddy.
I loved that. Yeah. And also the fact that he could, I think it was an option to like change his face and shit like that. I think he could do anything with it. But regardless, can you imagine if it had been under his clothing and then formed up around his face each time? Like he would have felt like he had he already has superpowers, but he would have been like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is like built in now.
Honestly, the biggest problem with the movie is that they force 3 villains into this. I don't know why Sam Raimi was so tied to like making sure that the 3 is the biggest movie and there's got to be 3 villains. Like this, how about just make one okay movie? One.
Well, you know what? He said, well, he wasn't the writer on this, and he said he was very unhappy with Spider-Man 3.
Good.
Sadly.
He should be.
You know? Yeah.
Just like how Schumacher apologized for Batman and Robin.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have the team up at the end of the 2 and 2.
The team up is weird. They are finally in the same shot. They've just teamed up, and they're like back to back, and they're both facing the other enemies. And Peter's like, "Hey, help me out here, Harry." And Harry says, "I got my hands full over here." It's like, you guys haven't started doing anything yet. Like, how about you go and like have some action? Go have some action.
Yeah, I do like when he burned the Sandman. It turned to glass and he shattered it. There were, again, these fights.
I like the way that Venom was killed.
I wanted actually more science stuff. I wanted him to deal with Kurt Connors and be like, oh, actually, it's very sensitive to sound and stuff like that.
And then never say that. How come that never came up until the clock tower? That was the discovery of that. That's really fucking weird.
I swear, if anyone is looking for a better symbiote story, go back to the animated series.
It's done well.
It deals with every single one of these plot points, but so much better. But yeah, there was no need for Sandman. My God. And then he just... There's the other flashback
at the end.
Well, and he flashbacks again to explain more about Uncle Ben dying, and then I
was nudged or something. Like he got nudged, and then the gun went off.
Yeah, I was just holding it up to him, and took the safety off, but I wasn't gonna kill him.
I like Hayden Christensen, right? Hayden Christensen. Which one's the Star Wars kid?
Thomas Hayden Church. Hayden Christensen is the Star Wars kid.
Yeah, that's not
not
what
him.
I'm talking about. No,
I like him too.
Thomas Hayden, he's good. I love him as Lowell in Wings.
Sure.
He's a good actor. Like even like the crap lines that they gave him, he did a good job, I think, of selling them. But his design sucks so bad. It reminds me of the first Punisher movie, not with Dolph Lundgren, but the I want to say it was like 2001 with
John Travolta one?
John Travolta, where he fights that sailor.
Oh my God!
Really,
what a
like,
comic
weird scene, and like his neighbors are like clapping in the other room, and they're singing some kind of fucking song. That's what his design felt like to me.
It looks like a cartoon.
He looks like a cartoon.
And you don't have to have him.
But...
You don't have to have him wear the same shit as the comic book.
You don't.
No,
I hate all that. That movie should have started an hour in at the parade and just like pick everything up from context. Just run with it.
What a dick Peter. I lost all respect, the little respect that I did have for Peter Parker and all the sympathy that he had gotten from me for the first 2 movies when he made out with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? I was
like, your girlfriend is watching.
That was very out of character. What should have happened was he should have said, "Oh yeah, you can give me a kiss," and like should have offered his cheek, and she should have turned his head.
There you go. Absolutely. And then it could have been like, it was a misunderstanding and stuff like that.
But that was definitely way out of character for him.
Well, it was him getting... I know what they were trying to go for. They were saying, his head is getting big because he's so famous now.
Well, fine, have that happen when the symbiote is there.
Right. And that's why they should have introduced the symbiote before, because then that behavior would have made sense rather than it being him being a dick, and then go into super dick mode with the symbiote. It made no sense to have him be this much of a clueless person because he was getting a little bit of fame.
No, there's nothing that justifies the dancing. The dancing,
and it's such a long scene, dude.
The dancing is so long and so embarrassing. Like it's weird. Like he's like swinging on chandeliers, and he's obviously Spider-Man. Like in every movie, he's obviously Spider-Man. Like,
stop doing things out of your suit.
Spider-Man. Yeah, like you just You did shit that nobody could possibly do without being Spider-Man. You're Spider-Man.
Yeah, and you can understand it the first day at school, but otherwise, stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, Superman figured that out. He decided not to go out for the football team because he would kill someone.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
well, and Spider-Man too. Like that is, as hero comic books are out for longer and longer, there's things I start to not like about it because they keep adding onto like their lore. Like Wolverine is indestructible. I hate that. But the one thing I do like
blown
is
up
that,
by a nuclear bomb.
The Spider-Man storyline where Doc Ock has switched bodies with Peter Parker.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And Doc Ock is out there as Spider-Man, and he punches like the Shocker or Scorpion or somebody like that, like as hard as he can, and he like knocks his jaw off, and he's like, "Holy shit!" Peter Parker was holding back this whole time.
Well, his powers are wildly inconsistent in this
it's
as well.
Emotional. Yeah.
I mean, he can, in the second one, I don't know if you remember this, but he holds up an entire wall of a warehouse and then just talks to, as it's falling over onto MJ, and then she's like, "Oh, wow, we're going to have a conversation." And he's like,
"Get the fuck out of here."
No, he's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you." And then she was like, "That you loved me? Well, I know now." And it's like, this dialogue is the most maddening thing of all of it. Dude, I just...
The ending is amazing, though.
Like, you mean the third or fourth funeral in this entire thing?
Which is only preceded by, like, Harry Osborn dying in the same way that his dad did, getting stabbed by the glider. Which I don't understand how they don't just regenerate from, like, the stab in the stomach.
Yeah, aren't they strong?
Yeah, they're
don't they have the
super healing? Like all the scars were disappearing and shit. But then there's like a hard fade to black. Harry dies. Hard fade to black. The funeral. Hard fade to black.
Did you
Mary
notice
Jane
that
singing sad songs and then they slow dance and then that's the end of the movie. Like what the fuck?
Oh, in the editor's cut, I forgot to tell you about this. The Sandman. There's a scene where he goes to visit. Well, his daughter is waiting for him to visit. Was this in the other one? No. And
at the end?
No. It's like before he goes and attacks Spider-Man, he goes there and she's sitting there and her mom is like, "Sometimes your father disappoints you." And there's this big sand castle in the sand pit area that's of course in a park. Yeah. And she walks over to it and then a hand sort of presses out of it.
Ew.
And she puts her hand on it. And then she looks back as she walks to her mom's and it's gone.
The whole sandcastle?
And the whole sandcastle's gone. And then as they're walking away, he's clearly on a green screen saying, "Spider-Man won't stand in my way."
His motivation to fight Spider-Man is really weird. He's like, "I want to kill Spider-Man." Like,
because he stopped you from getting money?
Sick? Yeah.
Also, you're really bad at robbing. Rob New Jersey.
Yeah.
And she's singing this dead on the nose song like, "I've closed up my heart because I can't have you, so I'm not going to love anybody." And then he comes in, "All is forgiven."
That's fine.
So dumb, man. Do you know that there was going to be a fourth one?
No, that's awful.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
So they were looking. The development began in 2008, and they were actually talking about a fifth and a sixth one.
Of course.
They were talking about John Malkovich as the Vulture. The current Doc Connors.
That actually would be pretty funny. But
I know, right?
Under this kind of like writing and directing, it would have been awful.
Michael Keaton though fucking kills it.
Yeah.
I love him as that. Dylan Baker, the guy who was already acting as Doc Connors, was going to be the Lizard, of course.
Of course. It's so weird because like he's such a feeble looking man with like a double chin.
I think that's the sort of the dichotomy of the two. You know, it's a weak guy turns into a huge whatever.
As long as they don't give him a nose.
And then Anne Hathaway was going to be cast as Felicia Hardy or the Black Cat, which is so funny because she becomes Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, it does a so-so job.
So-so job. Well, they never give her a chance to. Yeah. But they were also they were also considering her as the Vultress.
Of course.
There were going to be a Vulture and a Vultress. What bullshit.
The
Anyway,
Vultress Diaries.
Sam Raimi wanted to work on the fourth one to make it the best of all, but he said he couldn't get the script together in time. He didn't like Spider-Man 3. Well, they put timelines. They're probably like, hey, you're going to have to start shooting.
Happening.
Well, they released this in 2007, so and they started in 8, so they probably wanted it done or started shooting by 2009, maybe, I don't know. But he said, due to my old failings, I said to Sony, I don't want to make a movie that is less than great. I think we should. I think we shouldn't make this picture. Go ahead with your reboot, which you've been planning on anyway. And Sony co-chairman Amy Pascal said, thank you for not wasting the studio's money, and I appreciate your candor. So we
did she really say I appreciate your candor?
Yes. So we left on the best of terms, both of us trying to do the best for fans, the good name of Spider-Man, and of course Sony Studios.
Of course.
Good Lord.
I don't think we should talk about these movies anymore.
No.
There were a couple of other things.
Yeah.
I will say that I think the best thing that came out of these movies were the PlayStation 2 games.
Yes.
Spider-Man 2 is pretty notorious as being one of like the best free roaming games.
I played that so
even
much.
In meetings for this most recent Spider-Man game that came out for PlayStation 4, they brought that up. They brought up that like that was like the true like it had good feelings of like being free in Spider-Man, and you could climb up whatever and jump off. Like you should be.
There's so much comparisons. Yeah, I agree. I played that a bunch. That was a fantastic game.
You're welcome.
I think thanks, buddy. I actually went back and played it on my I think my Xbox 360, and it still holds up.
Yeah,
actually,
well,
it's
like,
definitely not
like,
near.
Like exploring the city is great. The missions are super repetitive. But.
Oh, very much so. It feels like an Assassin's Creed game at that point.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
or like a GTA or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there were some really cool little smaller roles of people that maybe weren't as famous. We already talked about Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
J.K. Simmons, of course, as J. Jonah Jameson.
I couldn't confirm if that was his real mustache or not. I'm pretty sure it was though, because there's like an early picture of him like growing his mustache.
He grows his own mustache in a few things, actually. He even for Commissioner Gordon, which is sad that he's stuck there. But he actually had one of the most amazing lines where he's like, well, see if I can trust you or something like that. And they said, you don't trust anyone. I trust my barber.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Elizabeth Banks as Betsy Brandt was in
Really?
all three of them. Yeah, she was the assistant or the secretary outside of his office. Sam Raimi's brother Ted Raimi was that Hoffman guy. Hoffman, get my wife on the phone or whatever. Another one of his assistants. Joe Manganiello was Flash Gordon, and you actually see him in the third movie. Flash Thompson, sorry. You see him at the Harry funeral way in the background.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Octavia Spencer, who's an amazing actress. She was the girl who was signing people up for wrestling.
Yeah.
You talked about Randy Savage, of course. Joel McHale is in number 2. He's the guy at the bank who is like, no, I'm sorry, you don't get a toaster unless you you put $300 in the bank account. And we talked about Bryce Dallas Howard. Did we talk about Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy?
No, I think we mentioned that she was tall. Offline, you and I had talked that it was weird that she plays a blonde person. Although I think that you and I agree that she would have done much better as like a feisty Mary Jane.
Oh, she would have been amazing as that. Yeah. And she got nothing to do as Gwen Stacy.
No, it was awful. It was a bad
crap.
role. And Gwen Stacy is supposed to be a huge milestone for Peter Parker. Not only as a girlfriend, but the loss of Gwen Stacy was like such a catalyst.
Well, David Fincher was actually supposed to direct the first one, and he wanted to do the death of Gwen Stacy instead of whatever we got with this.
We got dumped.
But, yeah. And then finally, James Cromwell, the That'll Do, Pig, That'll Do from Babe, and a bunch of other things.
Yeah. That's where I've seen him.
Yeah, he was Captain Stacy, who was Gwen Stacy's father and the chief of police or whatever.
Is he Herschel in The Walking Dead?
No, that's another man.
Damn it. Well, he's old and white.
Oh, that's Oh, there you go. You got it.
Yep,
you
nailed
got it. Did we ever figure out whether or not people eat 8 spiders a year?
I did look it up. Yeah. So yeah, the number was 8, but it's a wives' tale, and like spiders really just try to avoid people, and like a sleeping person isn't still enough. It sends out vibrations and whatnot.
Oh, that makes sense.
I mean, look, it's probably happened where a spider has been eaten somehow, but I don't. It's bullshit.
From what I found, I found that it's a myth that came from a 1993 article about people quickly believing facts that are written on the internet or email.
That's bullshit. Really?
That's what I found.
Oh my god!
I mean,
that's amazing.
I didn't check that against other things,
and
but
they didn't like bother to circle
funny?
back and be like, we're just joking. They just left it out there and let people fear they're eating spiders.
Possibly. Oh man,
Love it.
well, that's basically it. Man, they released some weird toys for this. There's
give me like the, I don't know, first or second best.
Yeah, I loved fist pounding J. Jonah Jameson.
That is amazing, and I have been enjoying fist pounding JJJ memes a lot lately.
I love it.
They're like, I don't want to send you dick pics. I want to send you pictures of Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. There's like a deleted scene, or I don't remember where it is, but it's with J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man suit.
What?
Do you remember that?
No.
Look it up. It's super weird, and he's wearing the suit, and he has it might be a deleted scene, but he has the cigar in his mouth and everything. It's weird. For the third movie, you could collect all 8 figures to build a pretty shitty Sandman.
Yeah,
I found.
bet.
There's also one of my favorite. There's a bunch of weird, dumb things, but one of my favorite is Scooter Spider-Man with pizza launching action.
Oh my god!
Of course,
the toys from like the 2000s were like really asinine and like such a blatant money grab.
Oh, you could get like a Spider-Man. You could put the wrestling suit over that Spider-Man. It's really dumb. The Mary Jane had one in the kimono, and she had like falling from ledge action. It's just boring. What the fuck, man?
Ledge action.
Yeah.
That is definitely how that character will always be remembered. In interviews, Kirsten Dunst like shits on anytime that anybody brings up the Spider-Man reboots, either for amazing or for the new ones, because she just believes that the ones that they made are the best. She said, like, why would you even want to watch that? Like, we made the best ones.
But the funny thing is,
she's also said something like, I'd rather be first than best or something.
Oh my God. Well, but also she was in contention. She didn't really love these movies. So she must have changed her tune more recently, because she was unsure whether or not she was going to come back for the third one, actually.
Yeah.
So I think, totally, which is why I think they had Gwen Stacy in this, in the third one.
Weird.
It's very odd.
It's all so convenient that Gwen Stacy happens to be in Peter's class, and they already have like a relationship,
and that she's dating his coworker, who's like, oh God.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, she's dating Eddie Brock.
Yeah, of course. And so that's just another thing for him to get pissed about.
And Eddie Brock wants to kill Peter Parker because Peter Parker is dating his girlfriend now, but really it's his own fault for getting fired from his job because he did shitty Photoshop.
He's a bad person.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, that's, yeah. Well, that's his whole thing. They really failed at any character development. Everybody was so two-dimensional, and I really wish
there's no growth of any character.
No, God, no. And with Venom, they didn't even bother having him be like, we are Venom, or develop that, because there was no goddamn time. Of course not.
That's where you should have used the Gollum monologues.
Yeah, exactly. Having him talk to himself, because now
talk to
we
himself,
have
not
this,
talk to like that weird stupid Venom voice from the movie Venom. Don't see that movie.
No, yeah, I've seen that, and they did that wrong.
There's a lot of crying going on, including the crying that I did after wasting my time on these. But we said that we were going to try to find out how many times or which movie is the most crying. I didn't keep track. All these movies have a lot of crying. I'm going to say it's the third one, though. The third one, I'm pretty sure a third of the scenes he's crying in. Even when it seems like he's not supposed to be. Like, he looks teared up. Like, he's ready. He's fucking ready to go.
Well, I looked at one of the scenes with when Marco kills Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben is already crying as he's falling. Right. I was like, why? Why is everyone crying?
Everyone's crying all the time. Everyone just
So
needs to
sad.
love and God and cry. That's
Calm
the message that I got
down.
from these 3 fantastic movies.
So I feel like I hope that Tom Holland is probably the better of any of the Spider-Men that have come out, and they're the most solid movies so far. And I hope that they keep with it because
Oh, they're so good.
So Chris, what would you rate these? What do these belong in your memory, or
God.
should they be out of memory?
So I'm torn because I think it's, man, especially with Spider-Verse, like because it really hangs a hat on the third movie and how like shitty it was. By the way, I saw Spider-Verse again like I should have been watching the second Spider-Man movie. It's so good. It's so goddamn good.
Every single time I wanted to watch that instead.
And I did enjoy watching it because I knew that it was terrible. But it was for completely different reasons than when I had seen it before. So I give it a low rating with the caveat of, I appreciate the third one as like a bad movie.
That's fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to give this 3 webs from the butt. Because that's where the webs are supposed to come from. Not
That's
from your wrists.
correct. It's hard because this enthralled so many people. We didn't have such professional, amazing, like high budget movies yet. And I think that this sort of started that trend. I think that it was a pioneer in the superhero movies.
The third one was garbage, but it set records for like grossing movie.
Oh yeah, I walked out of this really depressed at about 2:30 in the morning because I had seen a midnight showing, and I was like
talked into a midnight
why
showing.
did
I already knew it was going to be bad.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really a shame. Overall, I liked these way less than I did way back then, and I didn't even like the third one back then, clearly. So I'm gonna give this a 4 pumpkin bombs.
4 falling MJs.
With falling action. Oh god.
4 hard nipples in the rain.
Well, that's at least not. Yeah, that's at least an even number.
Sure. Who's to say that Spider-Man didn't have hard nipples in that scene? I bet that water was really cold.
Well, Andy has a 5th, superfluous nipple. No, I don't know if he does.
That's where the webbing comes out.
I'm just disappointed that I watched all of these straight through, and there's so much less fun stuff in it
They were not
than I thought.
satisfying at all.
I would like to see a super cut of all of the action scenes and just cut out all the talking, because it really, like, it's 2 different movies. It feels like we're just padding time in between with these conversations when we're eventually going to get to Spider-Man. It's like the budget was like slashed or something, and they just didn't have the budget to throw in more Spider-Man stuff. They get him out of that suit so often.
They're just like, just get it done.
Frustrating.
Well, because that's where all the money went.
Of course.
All
right. Well, what are we doing next time?
Next time we're doing how many pill bugs do people swallow every month? It's more than you think.
And how many jelly beans are in this jar that I'm holding? You can't see it, so it's even harder.
Give it a shake. Give it a shake so they can. It's fake.
Shut up.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. These movies are terrible. Don't see them, or maybe see them. Get really drunk and see the third one.
There you go. Yeah. Or just watch the action scenes on YouTube.
It's true. It's true. AJ, where can everybody find us at?
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Out of Memory Pod, and you can email us there as well, outofmemorypod@gmail.com.
And Al Jazeera is at Al Jazeera. I don't know how Al Jazeera works.
No affiliation.
And what other fun stuff you working on?
I'm doing voiceover and different stuff like that. I'll be able to tell you about an amusement park you may be able to go to in the summer soon. But and then hear my voice. That's the point of that.
Sounds amusing.
Yeah. How about you? How's Sony?
Sony's great. Sony's
nice.
It's good, and except for when it puts out these stinkers. But
Hopefully Morbius is
they're,
better.
They're doing really well with working with Marvel and getting good movies and games out. So I really hope that keeps going. And
hold on to that, Sony.
Help that. Yeah.
Yes, push it along. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Whip? Did we do this? We did this at the first part. I still don't know if it's whip.
THWIP. That's the sound of his farts.
It's the webbing coming out.
But we'll be back.
What does Spider-Man say when he swings away? He's not like up and away. What does he say?
Later, skater.
Yeah, he's like fuck off or something. I don't know.
What is his? Does he have?
I'm gonna get some pizza.
I'm gonna deliver some pizza without it falling off.
How come he doesn't have more of a New York accent? How come he's like, hey?
Yeah, well, he's
fuck
from
with this pregnant woman with a purse trying to steal from her. You
He's
guys
from
are a bunch of fucking schlobs.